Are you prepared to take an obstructed shot? Whether that's hostage rescue or somebody hiding behind a corner, have you done enough on the range to confirm where your point of aim compared to where your point of impact is on the target? I have our skill builder target behind us to help demonstrate what that height over bore looks like, and we're going to break this down in detail in today's video. So with that, let's get into it. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Josh Nelson with Force Frontier. We train law enforcement professionals as well as everyday protectors. So if you guys are interested in checking out our course catalog, go to forcefrontier.com/course-catalog to find out more about upcoming classes. Just for reference, I have a co-witness height sight 50-yard zero. So depending on what you've zeroed your optic for, depending on the height of your mount, is going to ultimately determine where our height over bore is, ultimately where I need my point of aim to be compared to my point of impact. For me, I recommend 50-yard zero simply because, one, it's what I'm used to. I have an understanding of what a 50-yard zero looks like at 5 yards, what it looks like all the way back to 50 yards, of course, and then further. The only time I really need to factor it in is if I'm within that 25-yard mark, and if I am, I'm only holding over slightly. So at 5 yards, 2.5-inch holdover is all I need. That doesn't really matter if I'm shooting a full silhouette target, but it does matter if I'm shooting a headshot. So to demonstrate, I have our 2.5-inch offset circles. I'm gonna aim at the top one, and I'm gonna see where that second one hits, and that'll give me a point of reference on what my holdover is with my 50-yard zero co-witness height sight. On the right side, rather, we have a 3-inch offset. That's gonna represent a 50-yard zero, but a lower 1/3 height mount. If you have one of these GBRS mounts that are as tall as a skyscraper, you're gonna have to get out here and play with it and see where that holdover looks like. It's gonna be significantly more. Shooting below the B there with those circles, I just aim dead center of the top circle, and then it hits in the bottom circle. I'll do the same thing on the other one, and we get an idea. If I'm somewhere within that top circle, it's gonna hit somewhere within that bottom circle. So how does that translate over to a headshot? If I were to aim at the A of the A box, so that headshot, if I aim right at the A, my point of aim right on the A, where does it hit? It hits significantly lower. Now, if we take into account the hostage rescue shot, which is what these skulls on the side represent, and I don't take that into account, that could be catastrophic. So I aim dead center of that eye of the skull on the right, and I hit damn near off target. So I have to make sure that I have the reps in, dry fire or live fire, I have the reps in that when I come up to this A zone target and it's like, oh crap, I need to make this hard shot, I know exactly where to aim so that it hits that A. And these circles and really just aiming right at the A and seeing what that offset looks like is going to help set you up for, that just remembering 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards. I need to aim a little bit higher. How does that differ when we back up? Let's show you. Making note of where my 5-yard shot was, I aim at the A box, or right at the A of the A box, and see where the 7-yard shot hit. As you can see, slightly above that, because we're getting closer to that zero. Let's go back to 10 yards and make note of that. Same thing, aim at the A of the A box. Let me do that again. And we notice it's right around, a little bit slightly above that 7-yard mark. Back to 15. One more time. Some of this is going to be human error as well. Static holding a rifle on a small A target. Turn my dot down just to make sure I'm accountable for this hit. And let's walk down range and see where this is at 15 yards. So I want you to take note, 15-yard shot, again, some of that's gonna be human error, but 15-yard shot is starting to creep up into this. As we back up, ultimately what we need to account for with a 50-yard zero, with a co-witness height mount, specifically what I'm running today, that 10 yards in is where I really gotta make sure I'm holding over. Outside of that, we're gonna start creeping into that zone to where it's not gonna be as significant of a holdover. If we back up to 20 yards and I brace myself, I ultimately want to see where that's at, as well as 25 yards. I'll demonstrate that here momentarily. But this shows you, like, I have to be accountable for that holdover. And if I don't understand it fully, then I'm gonna miss. I'm going to miss. If this is my intended target, I'm missing here because I'm aiming here and it's hitting down here. That might not matter here, and that's why we need to understand throttle control, understand size of target, what can I get away with versus what can I get away with, and ultimately I need to make sure that I'm understanding where my point of aim and point of impact differ. Let's back up to 20 yards and let's compare some of these hits. I'm gonna brace myself on this barrel, aim at the A at 20 yards and see where this point of impact ultimately lands. All right, and let's back it up to 25 and then we'll go and check the target. All right, let's go check it. So we added one in this zone and then we had one a little bit higher. 25 yards here was my hit. This isn't a perfect science. It's more of just a visual demonstration of what I'm looking at, basically where I'm aiming, and then where is it hitting. So at 15 yards, we're gonna be typically, if I brace myself, typically I'm gonna be just below the A. 20 yards, it gets a little bit steep up the target. 25 yards, we start hitting closer towards that perf. So if 25 yards with a 50-yard zero is hitting closer to this perforation, that's pretty solid and pretty tight if we're talking about a zero. There's no perfect zero out there. You just have to understand and get out on the range and really confirm where is that zero hitting. I am aiming right into this black if I want to hit right at this A, like I demonstrated at 7 yards, 5 yards. Like, doesn't really change a whole lot. But once I'm back far enough to where I understand I'm past that point of 20 yards visually, like I can kind of take in that information and understand roughly where I'm at. What does that shot look like? And then ultimately, when I'm in a CQB setting or a hostage rescue setting, I know I'm within the confines of that 2.5-inch holdover, right? I come across somebody, average depth of a room is 12 feet. I gotta make sure that I'm holding over appropriately to where I can hit that effective shot, that low percentage shot. Guys, if you found this information useful, you wanna hear more about, maybe a much more deep dive on height over bore, feel free to comment down below. If you found this valuable, give us a thumbs up. And if you wanna see more content like this, rifle, pistol, combatives type training, make sure you hit subscribe. With that, we'll see you on the next video.